I woke up to a phone buzzing in the dark, and it wasn't mine. Her side of the bed glowed for a moment, then slipped back into black. A preview flashed, just long enough for me to catch 3 words: "We can't wait." I lay there frozen, counting breaths, pretending to sleep while suspicion coiled in my chest. By sunrise, the words tasted metallic, like blood on my tongue. At breakfast, Mia kissed my cheek and poured her coffee. She smiled the way she always did, but my eyes caught the spaces, the pauses between her words, the quiet between us. I wanted to ask, but I swallowed it with my coffee. She breezed out the door with her bag over her shoulder, humming like everything was normal. My thoughts stayed behind, whispering, "We can't wait." I opened the banking app because numbers don't lie. Almost $50,000 had disappeared from our joint account the night before. The entry was blunt: cash withdrawal. My chest tightened. That wasn't pocket change. That was savings, trust, the future. I stared until the digits blurred, refreshed the screen as if the universe might apologize. It didn't. I texted her, "Everything good?" She replied instantly, "Yep. Busy morning. You?" I typed, deleted, retyped, then sent 2 words, "Love you." She replied, "Love you too," with a cheerful sun emoji. Somehow that bright little symbol cut deeper. I pulled up the porch camera, saw her leave at 5:23 p.m., return, then leave again at 5:39 in a different coat. None of it made sense. By noon, I gave up pretending to work. I drove to the clinic where she worked and parked 2 blocks away. The winter sun lit the street with false honesty. Nurses rotated through smoke breaks. My pulse thudded louder with every glance at the door. At 1:07, Mia came out wearing a gray wool coat I hadn't seen in years. She glanced over her shoulder and walked quickly toward the bus stop. Mia never took the bus. I followed from side streets, close enough to keep her in sight but far enough to feel like I wasn't crossing a line I'd never returned from. The bus carried her downtown. She got off at the Roosevelt Hotel, its neon roofline cracked and faded. She entered through the revolving door without hesitation. My stomach sank as the glass swallowed her. I hurried inside and caught her reflection in the elevator doors, her face tight, jaw clenched. Then the doors closed and carried her upward. I bolted for the stairs, climbing 2 at a time, lungs raw. On the 4th floor, I peeked through the door. The hallway stretched long, carpet red and tired. A housekeeping cart leaned against the wall. I saw Mia stop at room 417 and knock. A man opened the door, mid-40s, charcoal blazer, no smile. He ushered her inside. The door shut, and the air in my chest turned to stone. 10 minutes later, the door opened again. Mia stepped out holding a small black case, the size of a book. The man followed, speaking low, his voice sharp but calm. He touched her shoulder briefly, like a doctor telling a hard truth. They walked toward the elevator together. My body moved before my mind caught up. "Mia," I said. She spun, startled, her eyes wide. The man's hand dipped inside his jacket. "It's me," I stammered, palms up. "Evan." Mia froze, caught between lies and truths. "I followed you," I blurted. "The account. The message. This." The man pulled out a badge with a practiced flick. "Carrington," he said. "Private investigator." I laughed bitterly. "Of course you are." Carrington pressed the elevator button. "Not here," he said. "Cameras." Mia's voice was steady. "We're going," she told me, and I followed because I had no other choice. Inside the elevator, our reflections looked like strangers trapped in the same cage. Outside, the air was sharp enough to cut. Carrington led us to a black sedan and slid behind the wheel. Mia sat in the back with me, clutching the black case like it might vanish. The car smelled of old leather and secrets. Silence pressed until I broke it. "What is this?" I demanded. Mia looked at Carrington. He nodded once. "Proof," she said softly. "Leverage," Carrington added. "Against who?" My chest tightened when he answered, "Your brother." I shook my head. No. Carrington's eyes met mine in the rear view. Dummy vendors, shell accounts, micropayments laundered offshore. Every trail points to him. And every approval points to you. He spoofed your credentials. You're the one the auditors will bury. Mia's knuckles whitened on the case. The words made the air in the car heavier. In Carrington's office above a deli that stank of garlic, he plugged the case into a laptop. Spreadsheets, logs, and transcripts spilled across the screen. Vendor names off by a letter, signatures forged, timestamps when I was out of town. My brother's voice played on a recording, bragging about the scheme. My knees wobbled. The voice I'd grown up with sounded like betrayal. Mia spoke carefully. I found an invoice that didn't make sense. I dug deeper. I knew if I told you, you'd confront him, and he'd bury you. So I went to Carrington. I took the money for bait. I stared at her. Bait? Tonight, Carrington said. Pier 9. Midnight. Dylan thinks he's buying a file that will bury all this evidence. He's already wired a deposit. He'll bring the rest in cash. He'll incriminate himself in his own words. We'll be ready. The urge to warn my brother burned through me. Dylan and I had survived childhood scrapes together, secrets shared, blood drawn. But Carrington's voice was firm. If you warn him, you'll take the fall. He'll vanish, and you'll drown in the mess he left. Don't save him. Not this time. Mia placed her hand on my arm, grounding me. Please, Evan. The word felt like both mercy and demand. That night, the pier creaked under our steps. Wind cut sharp off the water. Carrington handed me an earpiece and gave instructions. No speaking. No moving in. Let him bury himself. I tucked into shadow near a warehouse door. Carrington and Mia positioned behind stacked pallets. The water churned below, black and endless. My heart thudded louder than the waves. At 11:58, a black SUV rolled up. Dylan climbed out, shoulders hunched, eyes darting. Keith, our operations manager, followed. A third man with a scar across his cheek brought menace into the night. They looked smaller than my anger made them. A hooded figure approached, backpack slung. Dylan asked, "You got it?" The hooded man replied, "You got mine?" Keith cracked open a case stuffed with cash. The seller revealed a tablet full of vendor maps, logs, and deletes. It was everything. Say it, the scarred man urged. Say it's yours. Dylan's jaw clenched. His eyes flicked to the money, then to the water. Finally he said, "It's mine. I ordered it." The words sealed his fate. Carrington's whisper crackled in my ear, "Hold." My legs wanted to run. Carrington's hand pinned me down. Blue lights erupted at the edge of the pier. Unmarked cars swarmed. The hooded figure pulled off his hood, 2 officers. Shouts exploded, "Police! Hands up!" Guns leveled. The scarred man reached for his weapon and froze when a larger one met him first. Keith bolted, made it 3 steps before being slammed down. Dylan stood, stunned, pale, trapped. And then chaos touched me. Someone shoved. My foot slipped. The gap between planks yawned open. I plunged into the river. The cold was a fist around my chest. My coat dragged me down. The earpiece went silent. Darkness pressed in. I kicked for the surface and found only sideways. My lungs screamed. For one dizzy second, I thought about letting go. Then something gripped me, a rope under my arms, Carrington cursing, hauling me toward a ladder. Air sliced back into me like knives. I coughed water, sprawled on the dock, alive but emptied. Mia's face hovered over mine, soaked, furious, terrified. "You okay?" she shouted. I nodded weakly. At the far end of the pier, officers shoved Dylan into a car. Our eyes locked. His face shifted through anger, plea, and the memory of being boys together. "Evan," he called, my name half accusation, half prayer. Then the door shut, and he was gone. Dawn arrived sharp and pale. I stood at the window wrapped in a towel, the city scrubbed raw. Mia slid her arms around me, her cheek warm against my back. "Say it," I whispered. "Say the thing you didn't yesterday." She took a breath. "The text. We can't wait." My heart stalled. She turned me gently. It wasn't an affair. It was the clinic. Fertility. We've been waiting months. When a slot opens, they text, "We can't wait." Yesterday, it opened. I didn't tell you because I didn't want to stack hope on fear. The hallway at the hotel reshaped itself in my memory. The black case no longer meant betrayal but protection. The stolen money wasn't theft, it was investment, survival. My throat ached. "I'm sorry," I whispered. She shook her head. "No. I should have trusted you. I thought hiding it would protect you. But I almost lost you instead." We spent the morning in rooms built for truth, police stations, lawyers' offices, gray walls, and fluorescent lights. I signed statements until my hand cramped. I said my brother's name until it lost meaning. In the afternoon, I sat across from Dylan in a room that smelled like metal. He stared at his hands. I stared at the scar on his wrist from when he was a kid, and I carried him home bleeding. I was going to fix it, he said. I shook my head. You broke it first. You'll let them bury me, he muttered. No, I said. I'll let you face it. Same as I would if it were me. His eyes watered under the light. He asked quietly, you really fell in? I almost smiled. Yeah. He huffed a broken laugh. Figures. You never could keep your head up. I'm learning, I said. A guard tapped the glass. Time was up. Life after wasn't clean. I resigned as CFO, stayed on to help auditors untangle Dylan's mess, then walked away. Mia and I sold the house, downsized to a place with more honesty than square footage. On Tuesdays and Thursdays we drove to the clinic, holding hands through needles and test results. On Saturdays, I taught financial literacy at the community center. Penance turned into something useful. Nights were quieter, though sometimes I still heard the river in my ears. Weeks later, we were in the grocery store when her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen, froze, then cried and laughed at once. She put my hand on her stomach. It worked, she whispered. We can't wait. The words that once poisoned me now healed. We sat in the car, letting silence bloom. Hope had paperwork, yes, but it also had heartbeat. One evening, we returned to the pier. I stood where I'd nearly drowned and thanked the boards for holding this time. Mia leaned against the rail, telling the water our good news. I admitted I thought she was cheating. She admitted she feared I'd warned Dylan. We were both wrong, both right. Trust is an instant, it's rebuilt. At home, I committed the crime of buying olives. Mia called me a monster, then ate half the jar. We laughed until it hurt. Later, a buzz woke us both. This time, the message said, he's okay. Dylan, from prison, sending 3 words of his own. I set the phone down, pulled Mia close, and finally slept. Redemption isn't trumpets. It's rhythm. It's showing up, telling truths even when your voice shakes. It's choosing trust again and again, even knowing it might bite. It's a woman who risked everything to protect me. A brother who fell, but maybe one day will rise. A child we haven't met yet, already rewriting our story. And when the phone buzzes now, we don't flinch. We reach together. And if the screen ever says we can't wait, we'll smile. Because neither can we.